Ugh, is DIY even possible? So no tint was harmed in that video, but we try to answer that question about DIY. And at DIY Wrap Club, we're back there, that's exactly what we try to do. And that's basically our whole mission, is try to make it DIYable and give you guys the power to be able to do it yourself. So for a while, for a long time, I actually steered away from doing tinting. I always had my certification. I've done tinting for over 6 years now, but I just didn't know if the technology was there until, you know, I think this, it definitely got easier as the technology got better, right? And on top of that, there's a lot more tools out there that makes film and just DIY easier over the top. So I think in this video, what we're gonna try to talk about is using our kit that is launched. By the time this video comes out, honestly, we are going to be talking about why this is easier than really anything out there. And I think this is something that we've tried to figure out for a while. So this isn't gonna be a how-to video, because we are gonna have a separate video that we have on our support channel that we talk about the how-to, me less talking honestly. But this is more about explaining our process on how we went from this to something a little bit more, you know, palatable for the DIYers. So let's get right into it. I already have this all prepped up, and honestly, this is the kit. And I guess we'll kind of come around, and we have a couple things here, and I'll kind of explain it, right? So we give you the strips right here. I think we're gonna actually put it in one sheet, but we like something bright because it is hard to see. This is actually 15%, and this is nano. This is a nano tint. It's a ceramic tint. It's called Supreme IR by Avery Dennison, and I like it because it is very, very clear. It has great visibility, and it's really not that hard to install, in my opinion. But one of the things that is hard, I think, is when most plotters, when they cut it, they usually cut it and create like a little halo effect, meaning it comes like peeled, and then after that you have to like peel from that, and then there's like all this excess. So like we figured out a way to cut it in a way with our machine where it actually cuts all the way through. So it's actually cut two sides with the actual backing paper, or sorry, the wrapper side on as well. So this is actually the tint. You have no risk of any dirt going in yet. But this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like most, I think, wrap shops or DIYers, like we're not the first ones to do it. We'll probably use something like this, and this is a plotter, Suma, Graphtec, great plotters to be honest, but you can't really do this stuff because once you cut through, it's a roll bed, so as it kind of goes through like this, it's going to lose the structure of the film, and it's going to do that, right? So we're testing a couple things there, and it kind of messed up. So that's kind of like the first thing that we did. Why is this important? Well, since this is actually like this, you won't have all this excess when you're actually shrinking the film, right? When you're shrinking the film and you have the wrapper all around it, you have to use a knife, and we don't even give a knife because I don't think you need it, right? So basically, like this now, look at this. You can literally grab this wrapper side, and it's gonna go like this, right? Of course, we're not ready yet. We actually have to shrink it, and you're gonna shrink the wrapper side. And that's another thing we did, is we added these labels. It just says wrapper side and then passenger side. We're gonna pretty this up. This is still kind of a final stages of beta testing. I mean, we're good, but I mean, this is kind of like bare bones, right? And then we also give you this. Why is this important? We'll kind of talk about it towards the end as we kind of install this. We are gonna actually install it, but make sure you click on that subscribe button. We love creating DIY videos for you, and really excited about this DIY tint, so click on that subscribe button. So that's really the big deal. So let's go ahead and kind of lay this forward, and then this is pretty much all you need, right? So all our kit, you know, when we first did it, we're like, should we just give them the tint and then they figure out what they need? And we're like, that's just so far from who we are. Like we have to like, it's probably like, maybe like if someone asks us enough times, like we don't need it, but I feel like the reason why we've been successful in the DIY is like we give everything that we use and that we recommend, and the chances of success is far higher if you get the tools. And we really don't give you anything extra or more, or like less of what you need. When you just get exactly what you need, no junk. And honestly, things like the heat gun, like you can use it at home after, right? So we got a heat gun, you got a bottle, right? And what's unique about this, and this is actually one of our older slip, is we give the slip packets, and we made this for our PPF, but luckily the PPF and then the tint will use the same solution. However, for beginners, we actually ask you to put 2 of these. Why? Because when you're a beginner, you want it soapier than normal, I think, for DIYers, so you can kind of move it around a little bit more than normal in PPF, right? So you get that. You get one of these squeegee. It's gonna be red. You get this little sponge right here. This white sponge is awesome. It doesn't leave a lot of dirt or lint. It's not really gonna look like this, but this is called a shank. It's a little angled shank. You're gonna get that so you can kind of pull the trim apart. So since this is DIYers, I know it's easy and pros are gonna be like, oh, you can remove the trim. Yes, you can totally do that, but this is talking to people who are not familiar with removing things off their car, so you don't have to remove it. It is tight a little bit, so what I ask people to do is kind of loosen this stuff up like this before you kind of get started. And you can see, look at that, it goes all the way in. If you are familiar though, you could take this out and it does help a little bit, okay? So again, everything is included and that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and get to the side. We're gonna use this. And I know a lot of pros like using a razor blade, but that is not a great tool to give out to DIYer. You can easily scratch this glass, honestly. So instead of doing that, I'd rather just do just this thing right here. Well, you're probably wondering, it's like, why am I cleaning the outside? Well, remember, you have to clean the outside before you shrink on the glass, right? The more you have on the glass, the more likely you are to damage or have like creasing happening because there's something on the surface right here. So that's why I'm cleaning the outside. So I'm just gonna mist it, okay? Right now, there's no risk of making this dirty at all because the liner is not released at all. So remember what I said that it's cut right to the sides? This is exactly what I mean. If you have all this excess right here where I think some of the kits that you'll get is just kind of rolled in, you can't do this. You can actually put it exactly to the size that you need and basically shrink it. And I'm gonna like talk about how I learned. I learned this in, I went to actually a 3M tinting class in Sarasota with one of our distributors. And this instructor was great. And he always used to say, build a house first. And that just stuck with me for some reason. And what he means by that is basically you kind of start the side right here, and then you pull some tension, and then you basically go the top right here. Sorry, so you go top right here, and then to the side, right? So build a house, that's what he means. And then basically, I just kind of get this down. Don't worry about all that stuff. Again, this is the liner right here that you're looking at. And then you'll start seeing this, what we call fingers. Still don't know why they call it fingers. I guess it kind of looks like one, I guess. But you can kind of see all this is flat, okay? All this is flat, and then you see some of this. So once you get this, I got 2 big fingers right here. One right here, this kind of goes like this in a tree. I got one right here. We always say in PPF and tinting actually, divide and conquer. So instead of having a big one right here, you just split it down the middle, okay? And you wanna kind of move this and make it smaller, right? That's kind of what I'm doing right here. So that's fine, honestly. That's small enough. You want to get the film, not the film, the film and the heat gun pretty hot. This gets really hot, so be careful. Okay, and I'm gonna try to do this really slowly, but what you wanna do is you never wanna stay in one area for long periods of time, okay? So you just wanna, because what happens if you put too much heat, it creases, okay? So watch this, you just kind of put it, you start to see it react a little bit, you follow it down, you see it, it kind of demorphs, and then just stop. And then you see all this weird blob down, and you just bring it down. That's all you need to do. Okay, it's a little, like, not very lubricated on top. So that's what we can do. just like that. And you can see we got all of that, and then we can do this one. Same thing here, and then just stop. And then you move back to the other one because we want to kind of get this out. Okay, and some of the smaller ones right here. Awesome. And then I can spray a little bit because that kind of brings down the temp as well. There's other people that say that you could do this later, you know, and some people say you can install it. Look, if it's a Cybertruck, it's flat, right? It's flat enough where you could do this without, you know, shrinking it. But this is not a Cybertruck. This actually has a concave, so this is where it's different a little bit between, you know, PPF or vinyl versus tint. Tint, you're shrinking it into that concave, and then for PPF, you stretch it across the panel. So that's really the biggest kind of difference you have to understand between the two. So I'm good. All my wrinkles are gone over here. So what I'm doing is I'm just spraying this on this side to lower the temp of the film because I don't actually want it that hot right now. Okay, and then I can go ahead and start spraying here. Actually, I probably should have waited on that one, but that's okay. And next, we are going to, oops, just put it on the table. So if you have a table, great. If you don't, get a table. So now, we're just gonna flip this, okay? I'm just gonna wipe this down. And this microfiber, we're gonna give you one microfiber. That's really all you need, okay? And then this strips is what you're gonna be using for, and I'll kind of explain what this means. So we'd like to just kind of do this. This is actually vinyl. It's SW900 vinyl. You could actually cut this as well to give it a little bit more structure. Just like that. Okay, so why is this important? Well, I think, also by the way, we also give you a glove, but the number one contamination that happens in an install for tinting is not, I mean, it's dust, but the dust and the contamination comes from your fingers and yourself. You're the number one reason for the contamination, if I'm being totally honest. So I always try to avoid touching any parts of it. Part of the reason is I'm pretty dry. I have eczema. Yeah, I shed a lot. So like, it's not good for tinting, right? So what I did was I basically create tabs so I don't even have to touch a tint, and it's on the side of the tint, and this doesn't damage, and we've actually left it out for a while to kind of test it out. So now that we're good, you can see right here, and we're gonna just go ahead and start with this side right here, this corner right here, and you're gonna grab another one of these, and you're gonna get a bunch of these, just so you know. Just go ahead and sweet, and then you can start right here. And what I'm doing now is I've created basically a tab so I can hold this down and then take out the paper. You see that, how that worked? All right, so before we do that, let's go ahead and clean this up from the inside. Okay, so we haven't done that yet. I want to clean this one more time. And I probably should have said this earlier, but this is the Model Y standard Juniper. This is not a hard card to do. It is a frameless window. Other cars are much harder, like a Jeep that we have sitting over there. Very hard because of the, it's not hard, it's just the seal is kind of annoying. But any non-frameless doors is just different. All right, again, I cleaned this thing several times beforehand. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my squeegee and kind of go out. This is important, but not to introduce this back to the glass. So if you have a microfiber, you could clean this every swipe, but I do that where I just kind of go to the ground and I'll clean the ground later. Or maybe that is cleaning the ground. Double duty. Okay, so once that's good, I'm gonna go ahead and spray a lot of slip, especially for beginners. You wanna go a lot and then spray in there because that's where a lot of the dirt kind of sits. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and peel. So you see I can peel and then you wanna spray immediately. And since I'm doing this solo, I'm just gonna go ahead and peel everything and then immediately go into spraying mode. Okay. All right, so now that we're sprayed and then that area is good as well, I can actually grab this tab, okay, right here. And all you need to do, I haven't touched any part of the film yet, and then you're just gonna place it down like that. And then you could actually remove that. See how easy that was to remove? All you're using that is for handle, right? So now I've done the transfer without really touching any inside part of the film, which is really, really good. And it lowers the chance of contamination. But what you are going to do first is basically loosen up the seal because I need to feed the film. Oh, one other thing I forgot to tell you is I tricked the door so it rises a little higher than normal, because I want to tint. And if you're wondering, oh, you're not doing a good job, well, this is gonna be fully hidden. So this is DIY. For a pro kit, we actually have it going around a little bit more. There's no need though. Once this is closed, you won't really see a difference. Okay, so basically, I'm gonna go ahead and start aligning it. And because I use a lot more slip, right? I told you about the slip solution thing. It's gonna be so much easier. Look how easily it glides. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just move this forward. Look at that perfect corner right here. You see that? And this is pretty dang good. Look at this line, it's so good. It's kind of falling down, so I have to hold it. And then you can see my line right here. This looks good as well. And then basically once you're good, you just kind of place it in place. Okay, sorry, it's hard for me to multitask. But this is really good. I think this is a good, and actually one thing I wanna disclose is there's actually, so if you're taking this to a pro shot, some places will actually shave it and they will use a template, but what they do is they expand this a little bit longer. So they can touch it because they can touch that because they're gonna shave it off later. I don't like giving knives to DIYers, if I'm being honest. So we're not doing that. But like that's another method, but a much more skilled method. And you're probably gonna have to pay for that if you wanna do something like that, okay? But you do wanna be inside, and this is so important. If you're not inside, we call this a finger test. If it catches, it will fail, right? If it catches. So you see none of it catches because it's slightly inside, like 1 millimeter inside, very, very little inside. And that's really what you're wanting to do, right? So I shrank the crap out of that. So you see, there's nothing right now, like it's pretty good. Like I have very little coming back up right now because I shrank it. The reason why I don't like shrinking it from the inner side is because this is very, very prone to heat. So if you heat this, you can damage this area right here, whereas the other side, this is actually paint, which has a high heat capacity. It can take a little bit more heat. And then this one as well is kind of like a metallic structure, or more, it is kind of metallic, so it's like it can take a lot more heat as well. Whereas the vegan leather can burn because you are using quite high heat. So I did my first pass, right? And because I used so much slip, it actually went down a little bit, but I was able to just put it back in place. Also, I didn't go hard at all, meaning I didn't really go aggressive just yet, okay? So now I am gonna. So I'm gonna hold this down, and I'm gonna start pulling this across a little bit, okay? And then I'm gonna see if I could bring the rest down. And when you're doing this, just watch this corner and the alignment. what happens is it will kind of slowly sink itself down, and you're not going to be happy with the alignment later. It was like, whoa, it was so good earlier and now it sucks. So just warning right there. Okay, so this is my second pass. I can see a couple areas already I missed, which is normal. And then you're basically going to go, I'm going to go outwards. So I'm going to go from here, right here, boom. Flip that. Look at that, didn't move. I'm gonna do that one more time. Again, look for areas that maybe I missed. Okay, so I did this one. I'm gonna do that one more time. And then I'm gonna move everything downwards, okay? Just gonna change the direction, and I'm putting a decent amount of force. I'm holding the glass so that I'm not putting so much tension down the bottom, okay? I'm just doing that on purpose. Okay, and then now, and basically pry it, and then you can really get in there into the crevice right here, like that. And another thing, another advice I'll give is a lot of water is gonna wanna sit right there. So when you do this, I like kind of going all the way out like this. And then I kind of clean that, right? Because kind of cleaning some of that moisture out. I'm very happy so far. I mean, I see some artifacts, that's what we call it, artifacts right here, but it really isn't, again, bad at all. Okay, one disclaimer too. When you first do this, you'll see some like leopard prints and stuff like that. That is 100% completely normal. It's just your squeegee path or something else. But I want to just show you right here, and I'm gonna be a very, very high critic of myself today, and basically see how many specs. So I feel like good installers that I've met over the years are very, very humble about their work. They never say they do perfect work. They're always like, they make it very clear. Even the best installers say, look, I've never done a perfect install. This is what happens. Tinting is one of those things. It's not hard to kind of get started, very hard to be good at, I think, at least for me. And there might be others, you just got it, good for you. But it took me a while to really get good at it. So in this case, like, I think if like there's gonna be some specs and it's just really, really hard to install without a spec. This is just for me. But this method, by not touching it, dramatically decreased the amount of specs for me. And so we're kind of bringing this to DIY. So when we're doing it, we're like, how do we do this? And how do we actually bring this into the market and make it actually get a very, very good quality install, okay? And that's kind of what we're doing. So what I'm doing, by the way, guys, a lot of the edges right here has more moisture right there because the edge. So I use a microfiber and I squeegee up and I try to get the moisture out of there. So, all right, so our camera person is also gonna help me with this, but let's go find the specs. How many specs did we get? You can look on the other side, and then I'll look over here. So I got...
Too much of a glare over here.
There's too much of a glare? Okay, so I got one tiny one right there in the edge. Very tiny, but it will kind of dissipate, not fully go away. And I got two right here. That's my second one. It's a very tiny one right there. But nowhere in the middle, which is usually common. It's usually all on the edges. I mean, that is spectacular. I mean, if you're saying, oh, you got the spec redo, it's like, that's really hard to do. So 2 specs. And you guys saw it. I'm trying to be realistic about it, but very, very happy. But like that, like I said, just not touching the corner. I hate when you see like this little lump. It's because your finger like is holding that. A lot of people hold the corner right here. Or when we first started learning, it's like use your teeth. So like you'll see like sometimes marks. But yeah, 2 right there. So I think that is a really big. So I'm trying to explain to you like why this kit is actually possible. And of course, we're going to bring it to the market for others. We're gonna start it with the 3Y, both Highland, Juniper, both of them, and then the Cybertruck. And then we are working on other kits for the Jeep and Rivian and so on. So I think, oh, and the other thing is this design right here was designed by us. So we're not really like, there's a couple things that we made changes. Is like, we rounded this out because we wanted to fit a little bit better. And then also we cut this in because there's no reason to fight this. You see this right here? This is so tight. This right here is just so tight that you're just gonna struggle with it if you have all that film, right? The only way to do it is you could remove this, loosen up this thing, but why? Right, you're never gonna see this area. So right now I know it looks like an eyesore, but I wanna be mindful that like once it's down, this is what you see right here. If you notice, I pushed the button, and when you push the button, it resets the door lock. And then look at this car now. Now, this 15%, I guess I should close it. By the way, I shouldn't close it. You should really heat this up or just let it dry for the time being. But for video, we're gonna close it. All right, so we're gonna close it. So you can see, this is 15%. Make sure you check with your state and see what the legal limits are. We're not gonna keep this on. So, just so you know. But this is 15%, which basically matches the rear, right? And the Model Y, for the rear, it is tinted. A lot of people are gonna want to also do the rear, I think, because like, you just want more heat rejection, right? So they actually measure that. And why is tint so important? I think it's one of the first things that people get always, because it's such an importance. Like people, I think, prioritize that as the first thing that they get because it's so important for their skin. It helps with skin cancer with 99% UV protection, and then you get like this one's like 68 or 72% total solar rejection. But I do have a meter that I can show you, and this is called the Enforcer 2. And I think this is what cops have. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on right here. So this is the rear window. And when you put this on, it is about 24%. So that's pretty dang dark, right? And then with this one, again, I should definitely wait before doing this. It's 11? So you're probably like, how is it 11? You say it was 15. Well, here's the thing. The front windows actually don't come 100%, which means 100% means 100% visibility. I'll go to the other side, which is not tinted yet. And you'd be surprised, like it's already tinted. So when you actually put this thing right here, it's already at 75%. 75%, 74% of light is able to go through. So that when you put a 15%, I still don't know how to do this math. Someday I'll figure out how to do this one. But it becomes 11%, and then again, the back is already at 23, 24%. And this one is at 10, now it's 10%, it got darker for some areas. But there you have it. We're gonna have it offered in most of the standard ones, so like the 5, 15, you have to make sure you check your state before you check this out. But this is why I think this is DIYable. This is why we're bringing it to the market now instead of before. And I am very confident, and with our support, and again, everything is manufactured, designed, and shipped out of here from Chattanooga. So thank you for all the support. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments below. Hope you get tinting. Let's go.